Okay, friends. So welcome to Module 7. We are doing a scenic drafting project tonight, today, whenever you get to this. So to draft this scenic design, you will be using the Greenway Court theater that you've already built, and then you will be transferring an existing scenic design into that space, okay? So what I'm providing you with is, if we look over here, Campo Maldito design documentation. These are previous productions, different ways that the pieces of scenery have been set up for those previous productions. You can take from any of these. This is also the scenic design research. So you can use either one of these as sort of a reference so that you don't have to read the play, and create the ground plan that would transfer this set to the Greenway Court Theater space, okay? I've also linked to production photos, and if you felt like reading the play, it's kind of fun and relatively short. So next up will be this video instead of what is here before. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm going to do is walk through how I would start drafting this set. One of the things that I want you to use this time around, and it'll be helpful if you look at this drawing, right, to see where the overhead positions are, because you will need to do masking. So just get an idea of where those pipes are already sitting. You can also add pipe if you need to, but we're going to start actually on the scenery ground plan layer. We'll turn this off for the moment, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about doing a specific line type for your wall, right? So there is an upstage wall. It could have a door in it. It would be helpful if it had a door in it, if it's like the front of the tech startup space. Otherwise, you could have it not have a door in it. It's up to you. When I did this show, we used the upstage wall for a whole bunch of sort of tech GAC, decor. I also used a brick texture on it, and I'll talk a little bit about textures in the next video. So for now, I'm going to just pop this out because I'm on a laptop screen and everything is tiny. We go to the tiny house, remember him. We go get our wall tool. Let's create our theater flat. So I'm going to start by going into wall styles, right? We were here, but we're actually going to convert to unstyled and now update this wall style for our theater flat, okay? First, we're going to give it an overall thickness of 3 inches. We're also going to change its insertion options. So instead of being 10 feet tall, it'll be 8 feet tall, because that's typical for flats that are made in 4x8 sheets. The overall thickness is 3 inches. We're also going to turn it back into a solid line, and I'm going to reduce the overall thickness back down to 0.13 and say okay. Now I'm going to make a new wall component. The reason I'm doing this is because in this wall components, there's the option of making one of the pens heavier than the other. And this is really helpful in drafting flats because you can see which side is the front, because that's the heavier line. This is something I adopted from film drafting. So I'm calling this a theater flat, and I'm just going to make my right pen, instead of being like 0.13, I'm going to make it 0.35. So it's a much heavier line. Other than that, everything else stays the same, and I click OK. The thickness was 3 inches. It wants me to fix that first. Okay. So now I have this wall component. Once I've done that, I can, and it's now determining it by component, right? It's using that as its reference point. Now I'm going to save this preference as a wall style, and I'm going to call it theater flat. Let's see what happens when we do this. Okay, so now I can come in here, I can get my wall, I have my theater flat, and I can draw it at whatever length. And now you can see that there's obviously one side that's heavier than the other. So that's a really great starting point for that project. The next thing I would do in this part of the project is create the floor. So I would do that much the way we created the floor for the other pieces, except I would do it on top of here, right? Maybe the floor extends a little bit past the thrust. I don't know. It's up to you. You're the designer, not me. So if you want people to like enter on either side, totally fine, whatever. I would then extrude it just a little 1/2 inch business so that it has a little bit of thickness when we come to do render textures in our next video. So that is a floor, right? Very simple, just the kind of way we did the floor for the theater itself. The next thing that I'd like to show you real quick is the curtain tool. So you will also want to come over here to soft goods and add some masking curtains into this show, right? And to do that for now, because we haven't done a lighting grid in here and we won't do the lighting grid until we get to a lighting assignment, I'm going to have you turn back on this Greenway Court CAD drawing so that you can use that as a reference, and then come over here to the little spotlights pointing at the stage. Is it in there? Yeah. And use the soft goods tool, okay? So once you have a height for those soft goods, you can double click with that soft goods tool, open it up. Curtains above the stage are going to probably be 12 to 14 feet, right? Something like that. And then you can change any of these other factors to them, hit return. Now we have curtains on our cursor. So I could say, there should be masking curtains that go to here, right? And now I have a nice wavy curtain and it's drawn in 3D. Shift C. There she is. So cute, right? So that's something that you should also consider and think about as you transfer this design into this space. The wall doesn't have to be parallel to the back wall. It's up to you. The curtains should probably extend. If you notice, these seem like they're well inset from the wall, but with the slant of the roof, it's actually not that far away from the wall. So there's not really a space. I mean, there's a little bit of a space, but it's not really as much in terms of extending to the walls on the sides. Does that all make sense? I hope. Okay. So go ahead and do those steps first, and then you can come back to video 7.2 to learn about using symbols and pulling things in from Google SketchUp. That video will not be on our space. It'll be on a different space, but you can use the same strategies on this one. All right. Thanks, friends. I will see you soon. Bye.